Aloha, Ranohea Goodness coming from Hekili.net, and today my topic in terms of network security is Tor, using Tor for anonymity on the internet using your Android device. So first of all, I want to go through what is Tor and why would you want to use it and in which cases. So Tor stands for the Onion Router. So the reason why it's called that is the idea is that if you have a computer or a device and you want to communicate with either another person or a website, like a website, you can do it securely with end-to-end encryption, which means your content cannot be intercepted cannot be read by a third party. However, third parties can know the source address, who is making the request, as well as the endpoint address of what it is communicating with. So although the contents of the message may be secret, anyone in the middle, or any agency or any government in the middle, would know that person X communicated with system Y and know exactly what their location is physically by doing figuring out where their ISP is and what their service provider is, etc. They can identify who is communicating with this other person or system, because the packet, when there's like packets, there's like a source address and a destination address, and when it goes and returns, you're going to know who X is and who Y is. Okay, so this is a problem of anonymity. Okay, so there's certain communications that not only do you want the contents to be private, but you want the fact of like who you are and who you're communicating with to be anonymous. Okay, so there are you might want to think, well, in which cases would you want to know that to have anonymous communication? So the Tor system, I think it was created in 2002. It actually even though like some people refer to it like, it's kind of like scary terms like dark web or whatever, it was actually created by some researchers as part of the U.S. Navy, because service people doing foreign service or foreign intelligence work would be deployed all around the world or be doing things, and they would have to work on internet networks for which the U.S. doesn't have full control. So they came up with this system for basically anonymous communications, because they had to go through insecure networks that they didn't control. And just within a year or two, it was taken on by the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and I think the Tor project is independent nonprofit now. So many people all around the world have an interest in using this system. So what I recommend, first off, if you want to learn more about this, you go to the torproject.org, which is the main website for the project, and also the Guardian project is a related one for privacy and anonymity online. So that is, I'll put the addresses in the notes, but that's torproject.org and the Guardian project. Okay, and the kind of people that would want to use this, just a little, just to explain. You would communicate with your family or friends. You may want to be anonymous. You may be a journalist or member of the media. You need to file stories from somewhere that you're working that is politically sensitive. You may be an activist that has an interest in not having retributions from either multinational corporations or government, various governments. Maybe you just want to do business anonymously. You're a business person. And of course, I mentioned if you're military, you're law enforcement. Let's say you have to communicate with people that are, somehow they're in dangerous circumstances, but you still need to communicate with them in a way that they don't get retribution back on them. So those are all cases where you'd want to use the Tor network. So I'm going to go into how Tor works briefly. So I mentioned that it's related to the onion network. So let's say person X, their address is 1.2.3.4, okay? And who they're communicating, the system they're communicating with is 5.6.7.8. And there will be a port number, of course, depending what service they're using. So I mentioned how under normal situations, their source address and the destination address are on the internet packet, the TCP packet, basically, back and forth. So any computer or system in the middle can identify the source and the destination. So the way that this is broken up is that there are a bunch of what are called nodes. Nodes are basically computers running the Tor software. So imagine a whole network of computers, and companies or individuals can set up their computers to participate in the Tor network. And once you're connected to the Tor network, there is sort of a random sequence, back and forth between the source and the destination created. So there are entry nodes. So if let's say it connects to like this entry node, and then this node connects to another relay, this one connects to another relay, and this one connects to an exit node. And the exit node actually is the last one in the hop, which gets to the destination. So the way that this works is that the first node only knows the addresses of the one prior, and then the one that's next. So this node only knows the one hop upstream, one hop downstream. The same thing for the next one. It only knows one hop upstream and one hop downstream. So this node doesn't know this source address. Neither does it know the destination address. And this keeps going until the last exit node. It knows the actual public address of the destination, but it only knows this prior hop. And when the response is given, it goes back in reverse. So that's how it goes, provides anonymity in the system, because assuming that these nodes in the middle are not all connected or working together, if there's a fair amount of distribution there, it helps to provide much more anonymity for the communications. Now, this isn't like bulletproof. It is possible for certain governments working together to try to do additional analysis, especially if they can get control of an entry node and an exit node, and try to correlate traffic. So even though they can't be 100% sure, they can do things to try to figure out who is connecting to who. But it's still difficult. So it's not bulletproof, but it will provide you a far higher level of anonymity in your communications versus not using it or rolling your own anonymous system. So this is roughly how the Tor project works. I'm just going to briefly mention that there are things called hidden services. So it is possible to, instead of having a private, have a public website or system that you're connecting to, you can actually have something called like a Tor hidden service, which would actually kind of mean that this service has a private address within that network, and usually those hosts have a .onion address. So if you ever see a weird website URL that has a .onion address, that is actually one that's intended, can only be reached by connecting to the Tor network. Okay. So the next part of my presentation is I'm going to go into how to install Tor on Android. So the way, in a prior video I explained how to install the F-Droid app store. It's not really store because it's free open source, but the F-Droid system to install apps on your Android phone. So the application names that you would want to install is called, the main one is called OrBot. This OrBot application allows you to connect to it on your connect to the Tor network on your phone and allow either specific applications that you choose to route through the Tor network, or you could actually choose to route all of your applications through Tor network. It's not really, I would recommend specific ones unless you have a really good reason. And the other app you want to install is called OrFox. OrFox is a special version of the Firefox mobile web browser, but it's been specifically configured to work over the Tor network more securely. So the default settings are already set to enhance your anonymity. And if you don't want to use F-Droid, you can go to the torproject.org or the Guardian Project website to download these apps directly instead of through F-Droid. Okay. Now I'm going to in my next segment I'm going to show you how to do it on your phone. Okay. Okay. So this is almost plain version of Lineage OS Android that I installed in a prior video. So the way that you would get to this, to install Tor or OrBot specifically, is to go to torproject.org. And then there's link that says download Tor. I guess you can do that first. And you can see that it says OrBot Tor for Android. So you would click this download, and you could download the APK file directly without going through an app store. Note here that it says want Tor to really work, you need to change some of your habits, as some things won't work exactly as you're used to. Please see the full list of warnings for details. So that's what I was referring to earlier, which is that there's some cases where you want to use it and other cases where you don't want to use it. Especially cases where you'd be using a personally identifiable address. Like don't use your personal Gmail to log in over Tor, or don't use your personal account on Facebook to log in over Tor. That could actually be counterproductive and leak some of your personal information when you don't want it to. So only use it for anonymous stuff. Okay, I'm not going to download this here. I'm going to show you the second technique, which is to use F-Droid. So I'm going to start the F-Droid app that I installed previously. And this is like the open source apps that you can install. What I'm going to do is go to the little ... settings. And there's a section called repositories. You click that, and there's already repositories are the sort of the databases of apps they have to install. So F-Droid is the main one, but there's also one called Guardian Project Official Releases. We're going to turn that on as well, because the Guardian Project Official Releases has all the Tor apps. Then we're going to go back. So we can look at the search applications and then type OrBot. You can also type Tor, it should come up. OrBot. So you're going to see it right here. I'm going to click OrBot. You can see it says 15.0.1. It's an Tor Anonymity client. So we're just going to go ahead and click install. Have a download. Okay, now it's going to ask for permissions. It does not require special access. You click install. Okay, then OrBot is installed. So I'm not going to run it yet. Before I get out of F-Droid, I'm also going to, well, there's an older one called OrWeb. It's kind of a clunky browser, but they used to recommend that. The one I recommend is called OrFox. This is a newer release, and it's based on the Firefox mobile Android version, as I explained. So I'm going to click OrFox. OrFox Tor browser for Android. So this is basically will work in conjunction as a mobile web browser over the Tor network on your mobile device. So this is, I'm going to install. Okay. This application will get access to modify contents of your SD card and read it. Okay. I'll click install. Okay, so those are both installed. So I'm going to get out of the F-Droid app, and what we're going to do now, we're going to see it under O. I'll show you the OrBot interface. So you see the onion there? That's OrBot. We're going to click that. And then you're going to see that there's basically like a big button. And you can see it's off by now, right, by default. For now, we just installed it. So if you press a long press button, you can see it's yellow and it's starting to connect. it says you've successfully connected, but this doesn't mean your device is secure. It's just prompting you to look. You can see it's green now. You can see it bootstrap pretty quickly. And there's a little, at the top corner here, there's an onion. That means you can see that because it's like a status for your traffic that's going over the Tor network. Just a couple other things here. You can look into settings, whether you want it to start on boot or not. You can also select applications. So you can actually, if you have specific apps on your device that you always want to route through Tor, you can check them here. So there's not any, like for example, you could say F-Droid over Tor. What I like to do, I don't have any CryptoCoin wallet installed on this yet, but I like to do that through Tor as well. So I'm just going to close here and back on this screen. I'm not going to go through this too much in detail, but if you look here now, if you look at this OrFox browser, I'm going to click that. You can see it says browse with OrFox. Welcome, start browsing. And you can see the bookmarks are security related. You can even check your Tor connection. So I'm going to click that. And you can see that it says, congratulations, this browser is configured to use Tor. Your IP address appears to be such and such. So that is has nothing to do with the network that I'm currently connecting through. So it's going through the Tor network. So that works. And basically it. I mean, you can use this like any other web browser. So, you know, if you go to you know, whatever project, you know, I mean, just like any other web browser. So like if you were to go to yahoo.com and not log into any account, then you'd be anonymous. And actually, a lot of times when you go to some of these news sites, they try and detect which IP address you're connecting from. And quite often, when going over the Tor network, you just have to notice it'll be a little slower than usual because of all the routing. So that's one of the price that you pay for using Tor, which is it will be slower than your normal connection because of all the hops it's going through around the world. Now you can see the Yahoo website. I'm not even sure what language this is. Romania? I mean, we might be connecting through Romania. So you can see that it is working because Yahoo thinks we're in Romania. Okay, so that's my short little introduction to using Tor on Android. Okay? So I hope you liked my brief video on installing Tor on your Android device and using it. Just to summarize what we went through in this video, I did go over what is Tor, who uses Tor and why, how does it work, and how to install and use it on your Android mobile device. That's pretty much it for today. You know, mahalo, and talk to you later.